Good morning, everyone. Welcome to How to Start a Business in St. Cloud. I am very glad to have you here. If you are here today, that means that you are interested in how to start a business in St. Cloud. Whether you are already a business owner, a soon to be business owner, a business owner that's willing to relocate to St. Cloud, or you want to expand your business, we are here to help you. This webinar was created to make the process easier and explain the process of our business startup guide. Um, we have in the chat box our link to the St. Cloud Startup Business Guide. It's a handout. Also, if you have any questions at all, please put them in the question chat box and we will answer at the end of the program. My name is Deirdre Shaw and I'm the CRA specialist for the City of St. Cloud. We have Abismail Abreu and we have David Bridle, our business navigator. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Go ahead, David. Start.
My name is David Bridle. I'm the business navigator for the City of St. Cloud. On your screen, you see like a brief excerpt of what I can do for you and your business. But I'm the point person for any issues you may have. If you're looking to build a business, start a business, or even change businesses, I'll be the person here holding your hand through the process, and I'll be your point person for any type of question you may have.
Awesome. And my name is Abismail Abreu. I am the City Strategic Initiatives Manager. I work directly under the City Manager of the City of St. Cloud here. Previously, I was the Business Navigator, and I directly supervised David. And together, we put together a program to make sure that we're the liaison of the business community when it comes to development processes. I know it might be confusing at times for small business, new businesses to go into different municipalities or setting ground in new territory that they probably haven't even dabbled in before, such as small government. So that's what we're here for. Together, we're part of the city's economic development team, and we just guide you through the whole development process to make sure that you understand all of the particular requirements to be able to start a business in St. Cloud and in the state of Florida.
Thank you, gentlemen. I am so glad to have our attendees here. So again, I'm going to just tell you some brief housekeeping rules for those who have just attended. We have a question box. If you would like to put your questions in the box, we will answer them at the end of the presentation. Again, we are here as your hometown business cheerleaders. We will do whatever we can do to make sure that your transition into business goes as smooth as possible. So right now, I'd like to give the floor to David.
Thank you, Deirdre. And with that, we'll go ahead and start the presentation. So Abismail and myself will go over how to start a business in St. Cloud. We'll go over change of uses, BTRs, conditional uses, and various other things within this presentation.
So starting your business in the City of St. Cloud, it's actually pretty easy. We have an excellent economic development department, and this is just a snapshot of what's available to you as a small business. There's a incentive package that offer financial or technical assistance to those businesses that qualify. Mostly, we call them targeted industries type of businesses, as well as some businesses that are attractive for a downtown. We have a select incentive package and technical assistance opportunity for them. The department also offers small business assistance in the realm of property research, data research, as well as connecting you to small business assistant organizations. Some of the examples are the St. Cloud Chamber of Commerce, St. Cloud Main Street, the Small Business Administration, as well as Small Business Development Center at UCF, Prospera, and the Black Business Investment Fund. We'll partner with them, as well as the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. of Central Florida, and we have the ability to put you in contact with a realm of people within the economic development world that can assist you as a small business. We also provide you with guidance of how to guide the federal and state business registration process, from obtaining your federal employer identification number to your zone-based registration with the state of Florida. Every business has to get this in order to be able to come into the city and start work, as well as guidance through the state professional licenses. There's some professions or occupations that might require additional licensing by the state of Florida. It could be through the Department of Business or Professional Regulation, Department of Agriculture, or Department of Health. We also offer assistance on how to navigate those processes.
So our next slide is going to be choosing a location for your future business or maybe your current business, and you need to, your current, I guess, building doesn't support, and you've grown so much that you need to find a bigger building. So the first step is going to be finding out if the zoning supports the use that you're looking to do. Now, we emphasize this as a big thing because if you're going from a current office and you're wanting to expand to a bigger office, well, the zoning that you're looking at or to lease that property may not support an office use. So you can go on our website and you can look at the zoning for a location that you're looking to move into. But once you find that zoning, we ask that you reach out to myself to ensure that the zoning supports the use you're wanting to do. This can be very helpful because once you move into that building, let's say it was a restaurant before and it doesn't support an office. Well, if you've already signed a lease or purchased a property, there's not much we can do. So we ask that you contact us before purchasing the property or leasing the property so we can save a headache for yourself and potentially save a lot of money. There's various types of zoning, but mainly there's commercial, industrial, and residential. For a business, you're more than likely going to be zoning in on industrial and commercial. So once you find out the zoning and you're good to go, the zoning supports what you're looking to do, we're going to see if that permitted use is allowed. There's certain business types, though highway business may support an office, it may not support a church. So again, we just want to make sure that in our permitted use table that it matches what you're looking to do to what that zoning supports as well. Now, what we call a conditional use, it doesn't mean that it won't work in that area. It just means that it's an extra step. So I know there was one recently, we had a conditional use placed on a property where they came in, but has to go through planning commission approval and then council approval. But council can put certain restrictions on that use, which there was one very recently that we had where there was a medical office that wanted to be built next to a residential area. Though the zoning allowed for that use outright, council placed certain restrictions where they had to buffer the residential area more. So that included trees, hills, not a hill, but like a little bit of a area to buffer the noise, and then a 6-foot masonry wall. So a conditional use may be allowed, but there may be restrictions as well.
Thank you. So let's dive in a little bit into the city's development process. And this slide specifically for new construction of a building for a new business. And I just want to double into our development review process. First, I think the most important part is the city offers what's called a pre-application meeting. So before you go out and submit any plans and spend thousands of dollars on engineering plans, we ask that you please bring your team and meet with us. You will meet with every member of the development review committee, and we will hear your proposal and provide you with suggestions, recommendations based on them to make sure that your process through the city is as smooth as possible. This is free of charge. David, as our business navigator, is the person in charge of that and the moderator of that meeting. And if there's any questions that we might not be able to answer at the meeting, we'll make sure to follow back with you and make sure that you have all the information you need so that when you submit your development review application, it's completed, it's perfect, and in the perfect world, you're in and out within a month. That being said, there's a certain steps that you have to follow when you are building a new construction. First one is the pre-application meeting. Once you get done with that, we move forward to submitting your site development plan. We're assuming now that you've done your zoning check, your property is properly zoned for the proposed business, and now you're ready to go. You have your engineering team put together a set of engineer plans to submit to the city. This is how the building will be constructed. It meets all the zoning requirements as well as the building and plumbing requirements, such as water utilities. Now you submit your site development plan, and this gets reviewed by the Development Review Committee. The Development Review Committee is composed of members from each department in the city of St. Cloud, and they're able to provide comments. This Development Review Committee also has members from other municipalities, such as Osceola County and the school district, depending on the type of business being proposed, and they're able to provide comments as well. It roughly goes through a 3-week review period, and that's including when you will go to what's called a DRC meeting, with Development Review Committee meeting. At the DRC meeting, it's when the developer, the business owner, meets with city staff and go over the application. And if there's any outstanding comments that need to be resolved, then the applicant have the opportunity after the meeting to resubmit and fix those issues that might be found in their initial review. And after that, we move forward with approval after the meeting. There's some exemptions as to whether or not you need a site development plan, but those will be covered in our next slide. After you pass your site development plan, you get approved, you get your entitlement from the Development Review Committee, then we're starting to get to the actual construction part. You first start off with our city engineering office, because now we're starting to get ready to put all those on-the-ground utilities that you need to be able to support your construction. We call what is called a notice to proceed. That's the last certificate that you get as far as entitlement for your property. And after you pass your site development plan, you schedule a pre-construction meeting with our city engineer and his team. So this meeting pretty much lists the needed documentation and fees prior to the commencement of construction. This is where you have the ability to reserve the water for your project, and you will have an engineer inspector with you along the way that will guide you through getting your permits with South Florida Water Management District. If you need any environmental testing done, mandated by the state through the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, and even if you need any type of permitting from Osceola County for use of their roads and things of that nature. So this is where we will address everything in the notice to proceed pre-construction meeting. After you get your notice to proceed, that means that you have completed all of your needed documentation to the city engineer and your needed permitting from the state. Then we're getting ready to do our vertical construction. That means all the infrastructure that you need underneath your building has been put in place, has been reviewed and accepted. Now we're getting ready to go vertical. This is when you do your building permit. You will have your contractor submit building permits to the city of St. Cloud and go through the process, making sure that your building is meeting Florida Building Code standards. And at the end, there'll be a series of inspections by our team, our city building department. Once you pass all those inspections, you pay your fees, you pay your impact fees. You will get awarded a certificate of occupancy that pretty much guarantees that your building construction is completed and is safe to be occupied. So that's pretty much a small synopsis of a new construction project. I just want to emphasize that the order that I mentioned, it's the recommended order of doing things. We have had the cases where building permits are submitted before any of the site development plan or notice to proceed get issued, and that has caused some delays on the process. I just want to emphasize that the building permit is usually the last thing people should submit, and they should go over the site development plan first and make sure you get those approvals first to avoid any delays. Because usually that's the biggest issue that we find as we go through the development process with new businesses, new business owners. Fairly so, because it might seem a little confusing, but that's what we're here for, to make sure that you know these things. Thank you.
Right. I mean, that's a great point. I mean, and I know as maybe a small business, this may seem overwhelming. Like, this is a lot of stuff. I'm not going to remember this. Well, that's what we're here for, and I'm here for is if you have any questions along the way, you're having issues getting in contact with somebody, please reach out to me, and I will do everything I can to help. And if you forget a process, I'm here to help mend that process and say, okay, you forgot this, or we need to adjust this. Just reach out to me, and I'll be more than happy to assist. And then the next slide, we go from new construction to redevelopment. So again, we kind of touched on this and ensuring that the current zoning supports the use. Again, we emphasize this. I know we spoke about it before, but we really emphasize this because we want to work with you. And sometimes once you move into a building that doesn't support or may not support your use, it's really difficult at that point. So we really ask that once you find a location, you speak to staff before purchasing a building or leasing that property to ensure that the use you're wanting to do is supported not only by the building, but by the zoning as well for that parcel. Any special zoning that property lies within. So we have in the St. Cloud, we have different zonings. We have the CRA zoning, historic zoning. I think their historic district is one of the biggest things where people will come in and want to do renovations on the exterior of the property. This can be windows or changing the facade. When it's within the historic district, there is a special layer that you have to go through and approval by our historic district reviewer. So that's another layer of review that will have to be approved. Did I forget anything with that one, Abby? No, okay. And then to change it, go ahead, sorry.
No, that's perfect. It just depends on the zoning. So we just want to emphasize in this type of redevelopment projects to talk to the city first before you start taking down windows and things of that nature. That way you're pretty much safe and secure that you're doing things correctly.
So our next step would be a change of use. A change of use permit may be required if you're going from, like, again, office to a restaurant. Change of use would be required because you're changing that type of use. Now, if there was a restaurant there before and you're wanting to move another restaurant into there, if it's within 180 business days, then, or I'm sorry, 180 calendar days, you would not need a change of use. But once that 180 days passes, you would need to obtain a change of use permit. Even though it's going from like use to like use, 180 days has passed, and we require a change of use permit at that time, just to ensure that the site currently does and still does support that type of use.
And just to expand a little bit on that, David, if I may, and the reason for this is, like you mentioned, let's make an example of an office to a restaurant. Now, there has to be some upgrading to the site to be able to support. The most common one is the state of Florida plumbing code requires that a restaurant puts in a grease trap as part of their plumbing to make sure that we are protecting the city's infrastructure underground. We go through this formal process. It takes 5 days to review. It's just to verify that yes, there is a grease trap on site, and if not, then we move on to the next process to make sure that that grease trap gets installed through the utilities department. And so, just to give you a quick example of why a change of use is required for this type of application, is just to guarantee that the infrastructure, that will support the business that you're proposing, the plumbing, the parking requirements are able to be met on this site before you go on investing for or putting together a lease for this property if it's not adept enough to be able to support. So that's why we do this, to protect you as the business owner as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I think not here, but currently in the past, I've seen where it's gone from an office to a restaurant. The person moved in, but then they had to change the firewall to a different type of rating. They had to make sure, like you said, all the plumbing, electrical could support the restaurant. And it got so costly that the restaurant was never able to open because they spent so much money trying to ensure that the building was supported. So again, that's why we say, reach out to us. We want to make sure we want to work with you that this use. We want to see you expand and grow and start a new business. So this is why we emphasize so much. Please reach out to us. We're here to help and assist in any way. So on the next slide, we have a business tax receipt. Now this is required for if you're doing a home occupational or commercial home mobile BTR, like I said, and the landlord BTR. This is required if you're going to do any type of business within the city of St. Cloud. Now, once you get approval for your business tax receipt, you're also going to have to go to Osceola County and get one as well because the city of St. Cloud resides within Osceola County. So you will need a business tax receipt from both the city of St. Cloud and to operate within Osceola County.
Thank you. And just to wrap everything together around regarding the business tax receipt, we started the presentation talking about your SUNBIS registration, your state license registration, and your tax ID number. The reason why is because at the end, this is the last step. Obtaining your business licenses is the last step in the development process to be able to open a business, because you will have to provide all of those things to the city of St. Cloud as part of your application packet. Along with the business tax receipt, we also issue what's called a certificate of use. This is the zoning certificate guaranteeing that yes, your business is in the proper zoning, it has been properly put to the process, and it has been properly inspected by the city's fire department to be able to operate. At the end, it's a tandem combination of licenses. You apply for them at the same time, and for commercial uses, you get a new business inspection at the beginning. That inspection look at things such as, do you have exit signs? Do you have fire extinguishers? Are your breaker box properly secure and unobstructed? So those are the type of things that the fire inspector will look at before you open your doors to the public. After that, you will have yearly fire inspections. They come at random, but the fire department will just show up to make sure that those things that were reviewed in the first year are still being followed. For home business occupation, there's no inspection by the fire department. However, you still have to do the certificate of use part due to the fact to make sure that your home occupation is permitted in the city. And the intent is mostly to be used as a business location, office location, as your home business occupation. Because the majority of the work you do will be mobile in nature or online in nature. And then lastly, I believe, David, you'll be talking about the signage.
Yes, so signage, you will need a permit required, will be required for any type of signage. We'll be putting, whether it's in the windows, at the top of the building, or any side of the building. There will be a permit required, and you would go through community development department for that. I think a lot of people kind of miss this step and put up a sign and then go try and get approval, but sometimes the sign has already been put up, and that you get a certain allotment for each type of building, that you get a certain amount of allottage, for your roadway square footage. So we want to make sure that the signage fits within the area and that you're within that what is allowed. So this is the end of the presentation. I do want to go over one last thing after this, but this is my contact information. If you need to get a hold of me at any point, again, whether you're starting a business, looking to grow, or just expand, please reach out to me with any questions, and I will be happy to assist.
Thank you, everyone. And I believe there's the City of St. Cloud Business Startup Guide is part of the handouts that's being given out to all attendees. This is a great resource. The information we went over this presentation is actually contained in a much detailed version of it on this startup guide. And if you have any questions, like David said, please reach out to us. We have their email information there. That's a inbox that both of us monitor, so your question will be addressed by either one of us as soon as we see it.
Thank you, David and Abismail. I really appreciate the insight that you gave on how to start a business in St. Cloud. Do we have any questions from the audience? And while you're putting your questions in, I would also like to talk a little bit about the business tax receipt. The CRA has, within the CRA, we have a grant program for businesses that are home-based businesses that operate on our monthly market. So if you're a craft market or a craft business and you operate in the monthly market, we do a reimbursement of up to $100 for those who participate in the monthly market of your business tax receipt. Also, if you're a home-based business and you want to go to brick and mortar within the CRA or downtown area, we also have a few programs that will help you. So if you have any questions, it's CRA, and I'll put it at the chat box, CRA@stcloud.org, and you can shoot me a question and I will get an answer to you. And that again is CRA@stcloud.org. Do we have any questions from the audience?
Don't be
Okay,
shy.
we do have
Throw
one.
those questions at us.
We do have a question. Is it easy to open a small restaurant? What do I need?
So it all depends where you are looking at starting this new restaurant. I would recommend to start off with a pre-application meeting with David. Put yourself in contact with David, making sure that you have the correct zoning for it. As far as permitting goes, it's all dependent on the site. We mentioned if you will require a change of use or not. I can't speak on state regulations. The DBPR has a strict licensing procedures that you have to go through prior to even coming into the city. So I would recommend, as far as the city goes, please go through our zoning procedures first, making sure that you're in the correct location for it, that it is supported. And if you do need to go through any type of development process, we can address that in the pre-application meeting. So it just depends. I guess the question is kind of subjective. It just depends where you're looking at starting that restaurant, if it will be easy or not. That's the best answer I can give as far as it comes to the city. Now, when it comes to the state, if you have to do a DBPR permitting, that will be entirely with the state in that aspect. That often can delay the process.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. And, you know, Bismael spoke about the pre-application meeting. So if the zoning does support this and you're wanting to move in, do the pre-application, and that all starts with me, and I'll be here through the whole entire process. So again, we're here to help you along this journey.
And for those of you who are looking for having offices or looking for where to locate your office, there's a great service. It is not a free service, but it is called CoStar, and they just have a great service for locating places that are for lease, places that are for rent, or places that are for sale that can help you locate. We also have another question. I have an office in Kissimmee. It is easy to move to St. Cloud. And what will I need just to rent and move? But then I will have to change in all institutions like IRS, Sunbiz, banks, etc. That part takes a lot. So I believe that this writer is saying that you can rent and, she said, sorry, if I move, I will have to change my business address in all institutions. Is that correct?
Correct. So when you move in, live in Kissimmee, you will close your business tax receipt with the city of Kissimmee, and you will start a new one in the city of St. Cloud. And like I mentioned, all the addresses need to match in Sunbiz and your IRS documentation as well. Offices are a lot easier to open due to the fact that they don't require a lot of plumbing issues and things of that nature. So it's a lot easier to move than a restaurant for sure. So as far as the licensing requirements that you have to make sure that you address the issues with the state and the federal government first prior to coming to the city. So yes, change your address in all of them so that we can avoid delays at the city level.
Thank you very much for these great questions. Any more questions? Well, I would like to take the time right now to thank our business navigator team. Here in economic development, we are your business cheerleaders. We're here for you. So if you have any questions, call, email, snail mail, and we're here to serve you. So enjoy the rest of your day and be blessed. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.